Welcome to The Deep Dive, your shortcut to getting smart on the markets. Today, we're digging into AppFolio's Q2 2025 earnings call. That's ticker APPF. And this was a really interesting one, a quarter that seemed to really hit the mark with investors, showcasing some strong growth, but also, maybe more importantly, some big strategic moves.
Yeah, so let's jump straight into the numbers, the headlines from Q2 2025. AppFolio put up some genuinely solid results. Revenue climbed to $236 million. That's up 19% year over year, which, comfortably beat what the analysts were looking for. And their adjusted earnings per share, the non-GAAP EPS, came in at a pretty impressive $1.38. Again, significantly ahead of expectations. GAAP diluted EPS was $0.99.
Exactly. And that strong performance, it wasn't just window dressing. It was backed by really solid financial execution. They generated $53 million in operating cash flow, and you could really see management's confidence. I think they actually raised their full year 2025 revenue guidance, bumped it up to a range of $935 million to $945 million, which, well, it paints a pretty positive picture for investors, doesn't it? It really does. And that 19% revenue growth, it's interesting when you compare it to, say, the growth in units under management. That was still respectable, up 6% year over year, reaching 8.9 million units across about 21,430 customers. But the revenue grew much faster. So, okay, let's unpack this a bit. A core theme from the call was this strategic pivot, monetization depth over footprint growth. What does that actually mean in practice?
Yeah, that's a great point, and it's probably the key takeaway here. It signals a real shift in focus. Instead of just adding more properties, more doors, they're concentrating on increasing how much revenue they get from each customer, the average revenue per user, or
Right.
ARPU. And you see that clearly when revenue growth outpaces unit growth like this. So how are they doing it? Well, mostly by getting customers to adopt their higher price premium tiers, specifically the Plus and Max offerings, and also getting them to use more of their value-added services. It's about getting more value from the customers they already have rather than just expanding the base. More depth, less breadth, maybe.
Right, focusing on the existing base. And that brings us to the tech side, which is where things get really interesting, I think. AppFolio's AI-native platform, RealmX, it sounds like it's absolutely central to their innovation now. They're talking about full agentic AI through these things called RealmX performers, like the RealmX leasing performer. What does that actually do?
So the leasing performer, it basically handles prospect engagement, sets up self-scheduling for viewings, automates a lot of that initial contact. And then there's the RealmX maintenance performer. That one's designed to troubleshoot repair issues, triage them, figure out what needs fixing and how urgently. Think of them as like specialized AI assistants taking over whole workflows.
Okay, so it's not just like a chatbot. It's more integrated.
Exactly. And this isn't just talk. They're seeing real adoption. Get this. Since the start of 2025, 96% of AppFolio customers have used one or more of their AI solutions. 96%.
Wow, that's a huge adoption.
It is. And it's translating into results. They gave an example. Customers collecting rent 56% faster after using some new RealmX payment flows. And it lines up with industry trends, too. They mentioned joint research with the Institute of Real Estate Management, IRM. It showed a 46% jump in property managers planning to use AI. So AppFolio is seeing that adoption happen right now on their platform.
Okay, so the AI is a big piece, but they're also building out their ecosystem, right? The partnerships. Their AppFolio Stack marketplace now has 80 partners, connecting over 4 million units. That sounds like a substantial network.
It is, and the engagement is strong there too. 77% of their Plus and Max customers, the higher tiers, have adopted Stack.
They mentioned some recent additions like Amazon Key.
Yeah, Amazon Key for Access, Banyan, and some interesting fintech solutions too. Things like Flex for flexible rent payments, Obligo for deposit alternatives. It really ties into this bigger strategy of owning the moments that matter, as they put it.
Owning the moments that matter.
Yeah, creating a whole ecosystem. And that partnership with Second Nature fits right in. They took a $75 million minority stake. It's all about enhancing that resident experience, making the platform stickier.
And are customers noticing? Did they give examples?
They did. North Point Asset Management, managing over 8,000 units. They switched to AppFolio Property Manager Max, specifically because of the RealmX innovation.
Okay, that's a strong endorsement.
And another one, Chamberlain and Associates, with 14,000 units. They praised how easy the Stack integration was, how seamless it felt. So yeah, real-world examples of large clients buying into the strategy.
All right, let's switch back to the financials for a moment. The discipline there was quite striking, too. Cost of revenue was flat year over year as a percentage of revenue, about 35%. And the combined operating expenses, sales and marketing, R&D, G&A, also flat at 38% of revenue.
Which is impressive when you're growing the top line at 19%. It shows real efficiency.
Definitely. And it translates into that healthy non-GAAP operating margin, 26.2% for the quarter.
Yep.
Very solid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that financial health, that efficiency, it gives them room to maneuver, room for significant capital allocation decisions.
Like the stock buyback.
Exactly. The board approved a new $300 million stock repurchase program back in April, and they put it to work right away. Bought back 244,000 shares just in Q2. That's almost 690,000 shares bought back year to date.
It sends a signal, doesn't it? Confidence in their own stock.
It does. And they ended the quarter with a solid cash position, too. $128 million in cash and investments. So a strong balance sheet, active share repurchases, it points towards a focus on shareholder value.
And speaking of stability, there was also that leadership announcement. Tim Eaton, who was interim CFO since last October, he's now officially the chief financial officer.
Right. He's been with AppFolio since 2020. Was even chief of staff to the CEO.
So he knows the company well.
Inside out, you'd imagine. That kind of continuity in a key role like CFO is generally seen as a positive. Less disruption. And when you pair that with the raised guidance for the year, that $935 to $945 million revenue target, and they maintained their non-GAAP operating margin target too, 24.5% to 26.5%, it all adds up to reinforcing confidence in their long-term vision.
Which is, remind us,
transforming into that full-stack AI-native operating platform for real estate managers. It's an ambitious goal, but the pieces seem to be falling into place.
Okay, so let's pull back. What does this mean for you, the listener, maybe an investor watching AppFolio? Their performance really does stand out, especially when you look at the broader software market. Valuations are kind of mixed, right?
Yeah, it's been a bit volatile, though software ETF, IGV, is up at 27% year over year, so there's some tailwind.
But it feels like AI capabilities are becoming a real differentiator, especially for these vertical SaaS companies like AppFolio. Is that fair?
I think that's absolutely fair. And the market reaction seemed to agree. The stock jumped significantly after the earnings. Multiple analysts upgraded their ratings.
Yeah.
It was a strong vote of confidence in the strategy.
So what should people watch for going forward? What are the next catalysts?
Well, obviously the next earnings report, Q3 2025, results and guidance, that's always key. But also keep an eye on more evidence of Realm-X adoption. Is that 96% figure sustainable? Does it deepen? And how does that AI integrate further with payments, with the Stack marketplace, those value-added services? And then there's their big customer conference, Future 2025. That's in San Diego this October.
Right. New product announcements often happen there.
Exactly. Any major unveils there could be significant. It really brings up the question, how much of this AI native future is already baked into the stock price versus how much runway is left?
Okay. That leads us nicely into our next segment. Time for the not financial advice trade idea, just to be crystal clear.
Sure.
This is purely for informational and entertainment purposes. It is not investment advice. But if we were spitballing ideas for our own hypothetical portfolio, what's an outrageous but plausible trade based on this AppFolio story?
All right, outrageous but plausible. Here's one take. You look at that 96% AI adoption, you look at the tangible benefits, like 56% faster rent collection. Maybe, just maybe, the market still hasn't fully priced in the long-term impact of this. The potential for continued ARPU growth, the operational leverage as AI takes over more tasks.
So the idea is there's more upside than currently reflected.
Potentially, yes. So the trade idea could be an aggressive long position, maybe using something like out-of-the-money call options, let's say expiring late in Q4 after that future conference.
Why options?
Leverage. It's a bet on a significant upward move. The thesis is that new Realm-X reveals at the conference could be so compelling that they trigger a re-rating of the stock, push it substantially higher than even the post-earnings peak, because the market finally grasps what a true AI-native operating platform could mean for efficiency and value in real estate tech.
So what kind of target are we talking hypothetically?
Hypothetically, you'd be looking for a move north of, say, $350, maybe even towards $380 by the end of the year. Again, purely a thought experiment based on the potential for AI disruption to be underestimated, not advice.
Definitely not advice. Okay, so wrapping things up. AppFolio's Q2. Fundamentally a story of a strong beat and raise, driven by that strategic shift towards monetization depth, getting more from existing customers, and really powered by that impressive AI integration through Realm-X.
Yeah, they seem really well positioned.
Yeah.
Capitalizing on AI adoption and property management. They've got the strong financials, the capital allocation strategy, and a very clear vision for where they're heading. becoming that AI native operating system for the industry.
So a lot to unpack there. Remember, as always, this discussion is purely informational. Do your own research. It doesn't constitute financial advice in any way. Always consult a professional.
And maybe think about how this story plays out elsewhere. This focus on AI, on monetization depth, and vertical SaaS. Could we see similar patterns emerge in other industries? It's definitely something to watch.
A great final thought. Thank you for tuning in to The Deep Dive.